Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. Let's go ahead and get started with our guest today. The first question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Sean, great first question. It's actually the most important question in my field of Zen and spiritual practice and development, where we actually ask this question, who are you? And it's also the most challenging question. There's a lot of answers. I'll answer it very, very succinctly. I am infinite and undescribable. Now, that's probably not the answer you're looking for. So I'll put it in a more practical sense. I'm an ordained Zen priest. I'm a spiritual coach and guide and author and teacher. I lead workshops and I coach people to share a variety of different disciplines. In psychology, I've studied with masters. I've been to the Far East and India and studied with many masters, and I've learned many different techniques. And really what I do is I help people live better. So I live better, and then I share that with others. That's what I do. A lot.
I like the learn, experience, and then share. That's a great
exactly
triplicate there. So, and then Len, just to make sure we caught it correctly, you and I obviously had a chat before we got the recording going, but it's just Len Silverston. Is that right?
Len Silverston, and I have an organization called Zen with Len.
Nice.
And that's where I provide these services. I have a bunch of articles, and I've also published a few books. I have a column called Zen and the Art of Data Maintenance that I write online, where I talk about all different subjects. I have also been a entrepreneur of numerous businesses. I have led large organizations, like I started Oracle Australia's consulting business and actually ran and managed their whole Southeast operations. So I've led large business operations. So really, my goal is to not only help people live well, but help people live well in business. I often call it busyness. Like, how can we not be so busy?
Not so busy. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. So you obviously have a wealth of experience and information to share. So I'm excited to hear. So let's go on to the next question then. What's the best thing about working with a team?
The best thing about working with the team is connection. I give a lot of talks about one of the biggest issues in today's society is that we're disintegrated. In Webster, disintegrated means to separate into parts. It actually means to crumble. So my background is actually in data design and information technology. So a lot of times I'm called in to help technology projects with systems integration. I wrote an article called Data Mining to Data Hoursing. And if you're in IT, you might think of data mining as exploration of data, but I redefine the phrase, meaning data mining, meaning this data is mine, mine, mine. This project that I'm working on is mine. This fiefdom I'm building is mine. This a goal is mine. And when we're working with a team and we're interconnected and we have shared purpose and we're connected, we move toward what I call data hoursing, where we're working together. So we have, in organizations, we have done amazing things together, like Colorado Community College Systems. We work with them to say, wow, how do we really help students learn by being together as a team? There's nothing better than helping people live better lives. That's what's best. And we can only do it together.
I love that. That is such a great outlook. We can do so much more together. I really like that. It's great comments. I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. Tell us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so one of the processes we use in organizations is stakeholder engagement, or motivational models. And some people give pat answers to how do you get people engaged, and there are pat answers: shared purpose and motivation and doing things that people enjoy. But we think it's a very important exercise to say what engages you. For every person, it's different. So we have this model that I've developed to say the one question that's really important is, what do you want? What do you want? And then what is wanted of you? And how will your project help? And how will it be an obstacle? And it's getting at the core of, so what does engage? So for instance, I work with a pharmaceutical company. We say, oh, great, we did this project and we actually made a lot of money for them, like $120 million a year, but that's not what engaged them. What engaged them was this project saved lives, a lot of lives, by getting the medical record straight. And it was all about everybody getting together and saying, wow, we're saving lives. So it's different for different people. Some people, the money might have been motivated. For some people, the time off of not working and being with the family, it's different for every person. So what engages? Find out what engages. For me, I'll tell you what engages me: to be of the greatest service I can and to have fun. That's what engages me. So let's have fun on this podcast.
I love it, because I'm a fun guy. Well, I'll let other people decide if I'm a fun guy, but I like to have fun. And so
I give full presentations on fun, F-U-N, fully uninhibited nonsense, F-U-N.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to remember that one. So we'll take note of that. That's great. Well, question number 4, what other piece of advice do you have for leaders of teams?
So I've thought about some of the greatest issues that we're facing today. And it faced me. I worked for some large organizations, Oracle and Arthur Andersen, and worked 100-hour weeks and did things like that. And we're pushing and going as leaders. And I've been an entrepreneur in business, and there's such a push. And what's happening is our minds, because I've studied the mind for 30, 40 years, is getting all mixed up. There was a report by Microsoft saying that the average attention span of people are 8 seconds. And in goldfish, by the way, it's 9 seconds. So they're beating us. So one of the biggest advice for leaders that I give at many actually conferences is to say, wow, you're getting 5,000 advertisements per day per person. You're getting 103 million spam emails a minute. That's what we're getting as a society. We're creating 2.5 quintillion bytes of information. We're getting overloaded. So I have one piece of advice: is stop. Stop, take a break. And I love acronyms to help people remember. Stop doesn't mean don't do anything. Stop means S for create space. T, find out really what your true purpose is, what's really true. O, be open to that. And that's how we get in a state of flow, and then put into action. So it doesn't just mean don't do anything, but one piece of advice: stop, take a break.
Great advice. Great advice. Very timely for me, actually. So I appreciate that on a personal level. And I'm sure that the guests and I shouldn't say the guests, but the listeners and the viewers will appreciate that as well. So that's great advice. Question number 5, what other successful leaders of teams would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
So a couple of specific leaders. When I went to India and I did my first meditation retreat, I did it with a person by the name of Goenkaji. He has started a worldwide meditation movement all around of Vipassana meditation. But in the 80s, I had the privilege of sitting a 10-day retreat with him. I had left Oracle, and I was working 100-hour weeks, and I had a penthouse view of the Sydney Opera House. I was successful by all all of our metrics and measurements that we have, except for one that I was absolutely miserable. I was absolutely miserable. I went on this 10-day retreat and saw him 5 minutes a day. You can only talk 5 minutes a day and meditate 15 hours a day, and which was torture for me. but also it was so life transforming. And at the end of the retreat, I said to him, Goenkaji, this is so transformative. And he just laughed. By the way, he was a big business person that also had this huge health issue and couldn't get around it. Very successful business person. And that's why he went into this. He just laughed. He said, "Oh, it's a very small step what you went through." And I said, "No, you don't understand. My life was so miserable and now it's changed. And he laughed again. He says, "Okay, it was a big step, but it's a very long path." And I've realized that because I've studied decades after that. I went to many, many more teachers and retreats. And so that's somebody I want to recognize. And the other person I want to recognize is my current Zen teacher, Jumpo Dennis Kelly. And he leads an organization called Hollow Bones, or Friends of Zen, and they do something called Mando Zen. And he has been so instrumental in helping me change many of the mental constructs in my mind. And he does it with this firm warrior love. So he'll take and say, "Hey, Kensho," that's my Zen name, by the way. "Wake up. Hey, none of this sobbing over this or that or COVID or whatever it is. Wake up." Warrior spirit.
I like that. Well, thank you for recognizing both of those individuals. They sound like truly influential leaders in your life. So that's
they're amazing. Yeah.
Very impactful. Well, last question. Tell us about your first job.
Yes. My first job, I got an accounting degree and I didn't like accounting. And I saw these salespeople. I said, "I want to get into sales." And there was a salesperson that sold insurance and did so well. So I became an insurance salesperson. And my mom said, "What the heck are you doing? You graduated from a great university and now you're selling life insurance?" And I said, "No, you don't understand. This is so exciting. I'm independent. I could be so successful." And I ran into what most people sell in life insurance is I was able to clear out rooms very, very quickly at social gatherings. And I learned, they trained me on how to be so persistent and don't accept no for an answer. And I learned how terrible that approach is. So it was a great teaching tool to learn a bit about sales, that sales is really like service. You're providing service. It's not the way I was trained there, but I realized through experience that, how do you really sell? Like I practice also Aikido. It's the art of non-resistance. And so it gave me great experience. Then I transitioned to other forms of sales and management and business and to personal development.
Well, that sounds great. That's quite the journey that you've been on all these years. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that. I love I always love the stories about that first job, because we either learn what we want to do or what we don't want to do. So
I learned what I don't want to do.
It sounds like it. Len, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
Easy. Zen with Len. Zenwithlen.com. So go to the website, zenwithlen.com. You can email me at len@zenwithlen.com. I have another company called Universal Data Models. You could look that up as well if you want to see other business and data background. And but I hope you'll. I have a every Tuesday from 5 to 6. I give a meditation session online, and however I can be of service, and I'd love to. I'd love to help in any way I can.
Well, thank you. Thank you again, Len. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can go to teamengagementpodcast.com and download our engagement booster tip sheet to help you with engagement ideas from hiring all the way to the time when you have to part ways with that individual. Again, that's teamengagementpodcast.com. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.